A 17-year-old black student was killed by police in East Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Tuesday night. According to the Allegheny Police Department, officers had responded to a call of a man being shot from a passing vehicle. Now that man ended up at the hospital, but he was later released. He didn't, die from the incident. There was a description of a vehicle that was fleeing the scene, the suspected shooters, and about 15 minutes later, officers stopped the vehicle matching that description. So as the driver was being taken into custody, two other occupants of that vehicle ran away from the officers.
Why are they shooting at him? No, I'm recording this. Why are they shooting? All they did was run and they're shooting at them.
So this is a short video, but it does show what happened. The student's name was Antwon Rose II, who attended Woodland Hills High School in Pittsburgh. There was a press conference, and it was the Allegheny County Police Superintendent Coleman McDonough, who said that Rose, the student that was killed, was unarmed and he was shot 3 times, presumably in the back. He was running away from the officer. Officers did find 2 guns in the vehicle. I believe the superintendent McDonough said that they were found on the floor. The driver of the vehicle was brought in for questioning, but he was ultimately released. There was another occupant that ran from the vehicle as well, but he didn't get hit with the bullets. The officer fired 3 times and all 3 bullets hit Rose from the back, of course. So that other occupant has not been found yet. He has not been apprehended. They don't know who it is as of yet, or at least they have not reported that they know who it is. The officer's name as well has not been released, but it's been reported that he was put on administrative leave. He was with the department for only a short time. I believe it was that same day, earlier in the day, he was actually sworn in to that police department. But he was not new to the profession. I believe he had about 8 years of experience. So this wasn't a new police officer.
And in 8 years, I know this. I've read that he was at multiple police
departments. Yeah. So the superintendent McDonough, he also said that he was confident that the vehicle that they stopped, that Rose was in, he felt confident that that was the vehicle that they were looking for. And he noted that the rear window had ballistic damage, so I guess some damage from the gunfire. He said that the man that was shot, that went to the hospital, was shot with 40 caliber bullets. They didn't note what, I believe they said there was 2 semi-automatic handguns, I believe, that were found in the vehicle. They didn't note what caliber.
I think that's important in all of this. What kind of guns are recovered in the car? Was there actually gun damage or damage that would indicate that the car was shot by a firearm to the car? I mean, I couldn't tell from the video.
No, there's no way to tell.
Also fingerprints on these weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I think until those details are released, you can't really get a good picture of what happened. Also, if we're looking at the claims of a drive-by, I guess that's the claims.
That's the claim.
That's not necessarily what may have happened. You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
We don't know.
We don't know. There's an assumption that the individual that is seen as the victim, the 22-year-old, who also
shot back.
Right,
that's right.
There is an assumption that
he's the victim. Right. But we don't know. So, of course, there's an investigation, and I believe there are multiple police departments that are investigating what happened, the events that happened. Here's the rub, man. No matter if this vehicle is in fact the vehicle that they were looking for, no matter if they were actually guilty of being the perpetrators, like the instigators, like the man that was shot, he is the actual victim, and the people, including Rose, they were guilty of shooting at him. It doesn't matter here. What matters is that Rose, he ran from the vehicle. He ran away from the police officer. He was unarmed. from what I can tell and from what the Superintendent McDonald said and what he didn't say, it doesn't seem like he made any threatening movements. He was running away. All right. So the only way that you can perceivably state this case as a justified shooting is if you say that the officer's life was in jeopardy, or somebody that Rose was running to, their life was in jeopardy. That's the only two explanations that you can arrive at. If you can't make that case, then this was a bad shoot. This was murder. Police officers cannot take a shortcut to justice. If somebody is running away from you, no matter what the problem is, if they're not running to cause damage to somebody else, hurt somebody else, hurt you, then you have to do your duty as a police officer and apprehend that suspect. You do not get to circumvent justice and dish out the death penalty to somebody that flees.
So let's put ourselves in the position of the cop, seeing as that's what people ask, especially when situations go down like this and people become outraged about the outcome. Let's see if we can rationalize his mindset. He pulls the car over.
Oh, you said try to rationalize his mindset.
Try to.
All right, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He pulled the car over.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we can't.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
We pull the car over. We detain the driver. We see two people get out the car and run. We see that they are running away from us.
Right.
Kill them. That's the kind of like the steps I'm seeing. Those are the basic steps.
That's the outline.
That's the outline. Pull the car over, detain the driver, two suspects running away from the car. They're running away from you. Shoot them. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to see like how.
Was there anything added in there that you could possibly throw in?
Well, it looks like he was just playing duck hunt. You just rattle the bushes and just shoot whatever comes out.
And unfortunately, he was a good shoot.
Yeah, we've seen cases where a police officer unloads his clip,
right,
and really
it
didn't hit anything,
right,
or maybe hits it once or twice, shots that aren't fatal. But in this case,
all three shots.
I don't. Again, according to the video I saw, it didn't sound like he emptied his clip.
No, shot 3 times. He hit him 3 times. So, according to the Post-Gazette, Pennsylvania law allows police officers to use deadly force to prevent someone from escaping arrest if that person has committed a forcible felony, possesses a deadly weapon, or if the person has indicated he or she will endanger human life or inflict bodily injury if not arrested.
Now, I'm looking. I read that. I read that as well. And at the time the officer pulled this vehicle over, he didn't know anything.
Didn't know anything. You can't go into the situation and say
this person has already committed a felony. It specifically says they have committed a felony.
Right.
Like a scenario that we can introduce. I guess that would relate to a situation that would apply to. That it applies to that situation. Is, let's say somebody's robbing a convenience store, and then the police comes, and then the person who is robbing the convenience store like shoots the clerk and runs away.
Right.
And a police officer sees that. They actually have seen this person commit the felony. Right. In this case, the person or the group of people that they ultimately pulled over, they did not know he was investigating.
You couldn't have determined it.
I don't think that law or applies in that situation.
It can't. Like, we see all the time in cases of these police officers that, you know, they shoot suspects, they shoot people, unarmed people. It's all about what they perceive as a threat. That's why a lot of them never get charged. And even if they do get charged, the grand jury comes back with no bill, or even if the grand jury comes back with a bill, when it gets to the trial, the jury says, no, not guilty. So it's all about what they perceive, and it has to be objectively reasonable. So that's what this is all going. I'm like that. The DA is going to have to determine if this was a good shoot or not. If it was objectively reasonable for this officer to, looks like maybe not even a second after these two people, we don't even know what the age of the other one is. These two people, as soon as they bolted from the vehicle, he shot. Just like that. Were you able to perceive a realistic threat just like that? This case, or this incident, is eerily familiar to an incident that was here in North Charleston with Walter Scott. Officer Michael Slager shot him in the back. I'm sure many remember that film. It was somebody that had cell phone video. This officer didn't have body cam, but somebody took some cell phone video and it was able to capture Walter Scott leisurely running away from the Officer Slager. I don't know if it was his fast run or not, but he was an older guy. He wasn't running very well, and Officer Slager didn't seem like this was like a real threat. Didn't seem like he was rushed or hurried or like he was in fear for his life or anything. He just calmly pulled out his gun, shot him in the back a few times, and he killed him. So Officer Slager, he was sentenced to, I believe he got 20 years in prison. He pleaded guilty to second degree murder charges.
But the first trial,
yeah, it was a
hung jury.
A hung jury, that's right.
So even though it was clearly on camera, it was clearly obvious that Slager shot Walter Scott in the back without Scott being an actual threat. The question is, did the suspect pose a significant threat to the officer or any people in the area? Right. That's the question.
There's an actual Supreme Court decision that addresses that. It was the 85.
Amendment.
Right, because and this actual case too, it dealt with a burglar, and he was fleeing. He was fleeing from the scene. I believe he stole like $10, but he was trying to make his way over a fence. Officers told him to stop. He didn't stop. He kept going over the fence. They shot him. They killed him.
But see, what they're going to argue is that in this case, one of the suspects were possibly a part of a felony. That's what they're going to argue.
See, I'm going to go back to what you were talking about too, though. About, do you know that these are the suspects? In fact, by that time, did you know that these were the suspects? In the Garner case, did these officers know that he was the burglar for a fact? They might have. That would make it even, like, this situation would make it even worse, because you still don't know at the point that they run that you have the right people. So think about if they aren't the right people and they're running from a vehicle because they're scared. Because it's reasonable to be scared of police officers in 2018 in the United States of America.
So basically,
and some of them run.
Basically, what you're saying is it's not about the guilt or innocence of the suspects.
It's absolutely
It's about
not.
the possibility that police officers may come across people that aren't guilty of the crime that they are investigating, and they may run.
Right. The superintendent McDonald said that based on witness statements, he said he believes that the officers gave Antwon and the other occupant verbal commands. He didn't know the specific command, but he said that he does believe that they were given commands. Now, the interesting thing to note here is that neither officer that was on the scene had body cams. There was also no dash cams on the vehicles. So when you saw the video, there was that one police officer's car, the police cruiser that was stopped, and that officer was putting the driver in custody. The other two bolted, right? There was another police cruiser driving up to the scene just as they are leaving. Now, maybe that's what prompted them to leave. We have no idea. We can just speculate at this time. But that police cruiser that was coming up on the scene, had that cruiser had the dash cam activated or equipped. I don't even know if it was equipped, but if it had the video capability, then it would have been able to catch the individuals bolting from the scene. You may have caught something that, you know, the woman that was capturing the video from quite a ways away wasn't able to capture on film. So this is irresponsible in 2018 with all of these cases that we see across the nation. You don't have your officers equipped with body cams, and your police cruisers do not have dash cams in today's day.
Irresponsible in what way, Will? Though, in what context?
Irresponsible because if we want accountability, you know how some of these police chiefs and just these senior officials, they say, hey, you know, we want to be transparent.
But
you know,
if they don't want to be accountable,
then they won't equip those vehicles. They won't equip their officers with body cams.
So their responsibility lies in the fact that they don't want to be held accountable. So it's responsible in a certain context if they want to make sure
that they want to protect their own.